Hey, E, are you ready?
No.
For some, you were supposed to say yeah.
Yes.
For what? For what?
Ready
You were supposed to say for what?
For what?
For punishment! Yeah, so, sorry guys, meaning Wispy, I had a bit of a personal family emergency, so we weren't able to get to it at 3 a.m., unfortunately, but we are done it.
Mm-hmm.
And
We are done it?
we are done it.
Indeed we are.
Done it meaning the show.
Yes, we have finished it. We have watched it.
And we're done it.
And we survived,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, that wasn't... We were going and we're like, oh my god, we're gonna make a pillow for it because we need protection.
Yeah.
It wasn't... I mean, it was pretty dang violent.
Yeah, I feel like we've lost some perspective on what's a normal level of violence in media through these shows, but
Yeah.
it wasn't actually completely over the top gory. It was just a normal Netflix level of extreme gory.
I mean...
It was more than the other shows.
Oh,
but it wasn't
for sure.
Way more than the other
Like,
shows.
and I mean, I feel like there's a lot of other shows that are more gory, which we don't tend to watch because we're simple nerds.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we... Yeah.
Just tending our simple nerd crops.
Yeah, but in terms of the Marvel Netflix shows...
Yeah, I mean...
And it's a show you expect to be gory, so you automatically
Brace.
account for it a little bit.
Yeah.
As
We're
opposed
like,
to, when gory stuff happens in Iron Fist, and you go, wait a minute.
What?
So, yeah. And I thought, it's not, I mean, I think we can argue whether or not it's gratuitous gore, but it's the Punisher. So
Yeah, no, so yes.
It counts for a lot.
Yeah, I mean, is the Punisher gratuitous gore or not? I mean, that's up to your perspective.
I think the Punisher has to be gory by its very nature.
Yeah, so it's not gratuitous just because it's
Exactly.
the nature of how he operates.
Yeah, it would be weird if it wasn't gory. Like we were talking about the 2003
Punisher.
movie.
Yeah, there's one moment that kind of makes me go, and then the rest is like...
Yeah, it's a very tame... And I think, they were doing what they were allowed... What probably the rating allowed them to do.
Well,
at that
it was
point,
rated
not going
R.
over the top. Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, it was rated R.
It was rated R, and it's
a very
not...
tame,
Yeah.
I think maybe the level... the idea of what art is has changed since then.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
movies
but
have gotten more
also-
violent.
But also, I think, keep in mind, this was really early 2000s, post the first Spider-Man series.
Yes.
And superhero movies were really coming into vogue.
Yeah, they were still kind of testing the waters. for
Yeah,
that
and
sort
so
of thing.
they I think, they were using a bit more of, and this sounds funny, but the Marvel formula for Punisher, which really doesn't work. Like they were using aspects that worked from Spider-Man and stuff like that. I mean, obviously it was much, much darker than that, but they were still, trying to win people over with humor and all that stuff.
Yeah. Whereas now, particularly with the Marvel Netflix shows, they've seen, okay, people can handle a lot of gore and violence, and we can go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah.
And we can't really say anything about the other Punisher movies because we have not seen them.
We've seen
Dirty Laundry.
The only one we haven't seen is Warzone, which is negligence on our part because we've heard it's good. And,
Yeah.
I think it's
And Dirty Laundry is 15 minutes long?
Yeah, it's Dirty Laundry. I think this it was one of the better Punisher adaptations, and I think it's just a really professional fan film essentially.
But Thomas Jane.
I know, but I don't think it was an official thing.
They just were like, "Hey, dude,
let's make this Punisher thing."
And he's like, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah. So that's also really good. It's on YouTube. We highly recommend it. It's called Dirty Laundry. It's just a little Punisher short. But back to the show.
Back to the show.
I thought this is we talked a little bit about this on the blog. This is a character who, compared to most of the other characters we cover on the blog, obviously Daredevil, but most of the other shows, this is the character that we have the least amount of comics knowledge for, just because. I mean, I personally really like him. I've really enjoyed the Punisher comics I've read, but I just haven't, time constraints and everything else. I just haven't read as much Punisher as I would need to feel like an authority on him.
Yeah.
And yeah, the same goes for you.
Yeah, and I find it kind of weird because I'm like left leaning.
Well, yeah, I mean, we both are.
People supporting gun control, so it's like really weird for me to read a Punisher comic because like I enjoy it and I can separate myself from that and be like, well, you know, Frank isn't.
Yeah, he promoting bad people, but yeah, and they do. I do like that they do in the comics, and we got that. I was so sad about how they handled it in the show, but in the comics they do go into Frank being very against people seeing him as an example to follow. You know, there are Punisher copycats all the time, and he goes after him because he says, no, I'm not saying that everyone should go out and get a gun and kill people they don't like.
Yeah.
He's very firm on that. So I do think the comics address that. But yeah, it's a guy going out and shooting people because he thinks that he knows which people need to die, which is a questionable statement.
So,
anyway.
yeah, I mean, so that kind of makes it a little difficult for me to read. And, like, I mean, like, yeah, again, I can separate myself from the material and be like, well, you know, Frank isn't like, yeah, everyone should have guns. Yeah. He's like, everyone should give their guns to me. Yeah. And, you know, like, automatic handguns shouldn't be available for civilians. Yeah. Like, he's not gonna be like, yeah, hell yeah, everyone get an automatic handgun and start shooting people because they have a problem with. Like, no, that's not his. Yeah. And I felt weird about kind of how they addressed it in the show too. It wasn't very clear on what they were trying to say to me. Like, I was a little like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, we can get back to this, but that episode, I think, was my least favorite episode. The non-linear...
Oh my god, I was so confused. Yeah. I was, like, really tired and really confused.
I think not because it was non-linear, but, you know, the one with that addressed gun control. I thought that was my least favorite episode.
Yeah. And it felt kind of forced.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I understand why it's there, because it's a big issue.
But I feel like they weren't... I mean, I think my problem was that they weren't clear enough on it. I feel like, at this point... You're going to be putting a show like this out in the United States in its current state. I feel like you should say, no, this is bad. I mean, I understand being nonpartisan. I mean, being, you know, non-divisive on a show like this, but I personally
this show's feel already like they kind of a divisive show by its nature. And you have to think, too, like, you know, just as in the Marvel Universe, like, there are people who are like, yeah, that's so cool, you're shooting people, and it's like, you know, and it's like...
merchandise, and, I mean, in real life, also.
It's very romanticized. Like, I mean, he's kind of a romanticized image of violence, and, you know, I think they could have done it, like, you know, again, they could have been less, like, have it as a debate, and rather, like, don't do that.
Yeah, like, I feel like this required that.
Yeah, and they could have done it in a more, like, subtle way. It just felt like so, like...
Yeah.
Pros, cons. Yeah. You know, like, I don't care. I wish he kind of, like, you know, there was some guy... You know, like, they could have done it with, Lewis. They could have done, like...
Well, I feel like they were doing it with Lewis, but... I feel like they could have done it better with Lewis. I mean, I felt like Lewis was a good example, a message of this is why there should be more gun restrictions so that people like this cannot do this. Yeah. But I do think that kind of got lost.
Yeah, and I also kind of have feelings about Lewis as a mentally ill character that makes me, like, kind of uncomfortable.
Because you're context. She's a mental health.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a bachelor's level social worker. So I mean, I kind of do case management, and I work with adults and kids with mental illness, including PTSD. I really haven't worked with any veterans. So I mean, this isn't specifically my area of expertise, but I think it's hard to portray, you know, a character like him. You know, I'm not going to say that people with mental illness don't make decisions like that because, you know, they're mentally ill, But as kind of the signature mentally ill guy, it just seemed very, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to say it.
Too stereotyped?
No, I don't know about two stereotypes, but it kind of felt like they were justifying his actions via his mental illness, or like that was the only reason for his and it just, PTSD is extremely complicated, and it's not really something you can go into and like kind of just, it felt like they tried to explore him, but it just, I think they could have had another character maybe in the group.
Kind of the good example, I think.
No, I mean, it's not good or bad, but like
the kind of more positive, constructive.
Well, no, not even, because you can have like really like bad PTSD and be struggling and not really helping yourself, but at the same time,
but not killing people.
Not killing people, like you know, like PTSD is a son of a bitch, and it sucks, and it will mess you up for your entire life. Like,
how did you feel about Curtis as kind of that example of someone who's struggling with
I think they could have done more with him, like, because we know a lot about him. We know he's struggling with the same things, but we don't
actually
see it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that could have been something that, you know, we could have seen, like, as, like, you know, to provide some balance to and some perspective on the situation. And, like, I think the combination of that and violence and terrorism is just a really bad combination in our society, like, because it just seems like, okay, so if you're, you know, if you are like, well, you know, it's not guns' fault, it's like mental illness fault that like makes people violent, which isn't true, and mentally ill people are more likely to have violence committed against them than they are to commit violence. And it just conflating that with the guns, plus the mental illness, plus the terrorism, just puts a bad taste in my mouth, and it could have been done better.
I do think that, before his arc got to murder and terrorism and all that, I did think, and again, I know I'm not a mental health professional in any respect, so I don't know how realistic this was, but I did think that he was a really kind of visceral look at how veterans can suffer after they get back.
Oh, for sure, war. Definitely. And I
thought that was really good.
And I agree with that. I think that for our time, it was pretty good. Like, you know, it's like, as I said, PTSD is a son of a bitch, and it was a good portrayal, and it was, you know, like, a lot of people really don't want to accept help and don't want to, you know, and like, I get that, and that for me made sense that he was, you know, he was going to group, but he also was not taking anything in, which, you know, I
poorly.
You know, I've seen, and PTSD really can be a barrier in the way, and a lot of people feel like really disconnected from other people, and he wasn't sleeping, and so like, I thought, I thought that the portrayal and the actor was great. It just went.
Yeah, it went so uncomfortable.
It went too much, you know. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just like, I don't have the answers to this. I don't know what would have been a better, but there's just something that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth a bit.
Because I really like, and I mentioned this before, when they do have, in the comics, when they have characters who are doing Punisher type things, but, you know, are just kind of someone to compare Frank to, who is not as controlled as he is. So I think that was also really good, kind of bringing him in and as a character who's trying to emulate Frank, but is not, you know, he's killing civilians. So just kind of, but I think, conflating that with, you know, having the, that be the same character that they're using to explore.
Exactly.
Trauma. was
exactly
they could have separated those into two separate characters, and I think that would have been better.
But that would have probably made the narrative branch out in too many places.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't have the answers to this. I don't know. I don't. It's just
these are just our pure reactions.
Yeah.
But actually, I just wanted to just one more thing before we spend the whole time talking about Lewis. But yeah, I think the casting was really good. I think he's another. They did this for Simpson also. He's another one of those kind of Captain America cookie cutter look-alike characters, kind of.
I didn't see it.
I mean, he doesn't. I'm not saying he looks exactly like Captain America, but the vibe.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that was purposeful, like it was for Simpson.
I think they picked him to look kind of like the stereotypical young male soldier.
Yeah, wasp.
Yeah. And I think so. I thought that his look was really good. Just that kept striking me whenever he would be on. He was on screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get into what did you think of the show overall?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy John Bernthal.
Yeah, he
as Frank Castle. He's awesome.
He was amazing. Yeah,
he's awesome. I really enjoyed Madani. I thought she was pretty great. She was a good character.
I'm glad she survived.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, particularly with the Punisher.
Yeah.
I'm really glad Micro survived. I was sure Micro was
I really liked Micro.
He was fantastic.
I really liked Micro. And I was surprised at the amount of humor they had in it.
Yeah, but that was good.
Fun.
You need that.
You need that in a Punisher show.
Yeah, you need some light.
Like, something. To compare it to the 2003 or 2004, I forget which, but the Punisher movie.
Yeah, the first Punisher movie.
Yeah. They had the neighbors.
I love the neighbors.
From what comic?
They're from, is that Welcome Back, Frank?
It might be.
It's Ennis's run. I'm pretty sure it's Welcome Back, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of goofy neighbors that he ends up living alongside who awkwardly interact with him and end up getting, just a bunch of ordinary kind of misfit people who get pulled into his shenanigans, if you might call them that.
I think you can call them that. Yeah, I don't think he would refer to them as shenanigans, but they are shenanigans.
Yeah.
His mischief.
Yeah, but they kind of, Frank's interactions with them help to add kind of humanity and a little bit of humor to the story. And they weren't in here, but Micro did a lot of the same type of thing.
Yeah. But in
a different way, obviously.
In the 2000, in that movie, it was like very, the tone was way
Well, yeah, the tone was completely different.
And it was like, it felt kind of out of place in a Punisher movie, and I feel like, like the amount of time he spent with his neighbors was like more time than he should in a Punisher movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things about that movie that are off. But
do you want to talk about the part of the movie that's off?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so we're gonna
the show anymore.
We're not gonna talk. Okay, so I think our favorite thing about that movie is the fact that in that movie, instead of like killing his wife and kids, he's on a family reunion in Puerto Rico, and it was the Saints in the movie.
Yeah, the Saint family.
The Saint family.
Yeah,
and. They're like, kill the whole family.
Every single person.
That means great Uncle Henry, Cousin Billy.
They just mow down everybody. To the point where it's ridiculous.
There are at least 20 people at this family reunion.
The entire bloodline is gone except for Frank.
And it's like actually really funny.
It's really funny.
Like they're like, it's not bad enough that he saw his wife and children get gunned down. He has
the more, the better.
Everyone. And it's like, it's the sort of thing that they're like trying to go for maximum angst.
Yeah.
But they're like,
but it just ends up being ridiculous. So that's the wrong way.
Yeah.
The wrong way to approach his origin story. The show did a really good job.
We really liked in Daredevil season 2 that he focuses on his daughter.
Yeah. He never talks about Frank Jr.
And that's that one thing that stands out, and those few details really make it powerful.
Yeah.
Rather than we're gonna gun down 20 people at your family reunion.
Yeah.
Also, the shirt in that movie, is he Frank Jr. in that movie?
Yeah, he's Frank Jr. He's always Frank. Yeah, that's his name. And I feel, do they change?
No, it's
names
Frank
do change, but yeah, he's always Frank Jr.
Yeah, and his wife's always Maria.
Yeah.
So Frank Jr. gets him this shirt with the Punisher symbol on it. He's like, it's a totem to ward away evil. And Frank's like, okay.
Thanks.
That's a really cool shirt. And so that's how he gets the Punisher symbol, which is really stupid.
Yeah.
Bad writing choice.
So again, the show did a good job with that.
We do love that movie for the kicks and giggles.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad movie. It's just silly.
Some missteps. Yeah.
It's silly. But yeah.
But yeah, in the show, actually, because we have no structure to this thing whatsoever. In the show, I thought it was a good choice. It also just logically made sense, but it was a good choice that we see him in the skull in episode 1, and then he doesn't wear it for most of the show. Which makes sense just because for most of the show he's creeping and trying to hide, and he's not going to go out with the skull on, and hey, here I am. Mm-hmm. But I think tonally, when he puts the skull vest on, it shifts the tone, mm-hmm. And it wouldn't have fit if he'd been wearing it the whole way through. I think it would have really changed the kind of creeping around element that's in most of the show. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of creeping around, I was going to talk about Micro's family.
Oh yeah,
and the fact that so he comes and he's kind of creeping on them, and the fact that they don't recognize him.
Yeah, that's an issue. Yeah, because he was on the front page of the newspaper, all over the news during his trial.
Yeah, and he has a really distinctive face.
Yeah, he's a really distinctive face. We're talking about Frank, obviously. No,
we're talking about Barney. Barney.
No.
Oh, you. No.
Yes, that was kind of weird that they didn't recognize him, that nobody recognized him. And I figured that he would at least keep the beard the whole time, just as somewhat of a disguise. But no, he was just... Yeah.
It was weird.
No one recognized him.
It was weird, are you sure you're not Frank Castle?
Yeah, you look exactly
a lot like Frank Castle. Unless they were more preoccupied with if Micro's quote-unquote death was at the same time.
Yeah.
They might have shut off the news and kind of avoided that, but wasn't clarified.
Yeah.
They could have done that. They could have said that, we barely haven't watched the news, blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
Because that would make sense to me.
Yeah. But I feel like, even when he's just walking around the city in public.
Hey, that's Frank Castle.
Yeah, someone would go, wait a minute.
You've had that experience,
or at
right?
least, are you someone famous? I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. That kind of reaction.
You've had that experience with John Bernthal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With his dead cold eyes. Yeah. So tell them the story about your John Bernthal experience.
Oh well, no, it wasn't much. I was just hanging around the Daredevil season 2 filming because it was cool and I wanted to see it. And he took a picture with me, and it's a really funny picture because he may have still partly been in character, or maybe he just was not enjoying. I mean, he offered to take the picture because you don't ask them to take a picture. That's rude.
No,
they come up to you. But he just has these soulless, dead eyes in the picture, and it's perfect.
It is perfect.
It's great.
And then we later found out that he was I pretty much stayed in character while filming. Yeah. So we're like, oh my god, you took a picture
Literally
of the Punisher. But yeah, his soulless, dead eyes. Yeah. And he has a thumbs up too.
He's very nice. Yeah, he's a very nice person. He just looks scary.
Did he talk like Frank Castle too?
No.
No.
No,
you didn't have the voice.
Not that I recall. I mean, I wouldn't have known how he talked like Frank Castle at that point anyway.
But you know his voice,
no, but I can't remember.
Oh my god, it's such a great picture. It's hilarious. The more I look at it, the more I laugh. He's a big dude.
He is. Yeah.
He has big, beefy hands.
Yeah. We were talking about the Micro is either as tall as him or taller, which is really bizarre.
That's uncomfortable.
It's like Foggy being taller than Matt in the show. It's really weird.
Nope.
That is wrong.
Nope.
So let's rewind a little bit.
Okay, I was going to say,
yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of Foggy, do you want to talk about Karen?
Yes, yeah. Let's just have no structure.
Let's have no structure. Who cares?
Yeah, wing it. Let's talk about Karen. We're always happy to see Karen. We were really excited to see Karen in the show. Mm-hmm. I think that I started tearing up every time she was on screen, particularly in the first few scenes, just because she is so clearly suffering after everything that's been going on, and Matt's death, and she
there's a lot of subtext
all
there.
the stuff that she's dealing with, and it's never brought up. Nothing is. She never talks about what's going on in her life, but Deborah Ann Woll does a really nice job of making it come through anyway. Mm-hmm. That even if you hadn't watched the previous shows, you would know there's something up with her, which was really nice. Yeah. I mean, we were wondering if we'd get confirmation here that Frank knew Matt was Daredevil, or that it would be,
he'd be like,
something like that would be brought up in some way. Yeah, but it was never brought up.
Probably because Frank doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, and also because, in the kind of the lead up to the show, it became clear that they were really trying to separate this show out from all of the other shows. So I think that was also an element. Yeah, I think that was a really good idea. Punisher should be separate because it's such a kind of completely different thing, and Frank is such a kind of isolated, non-superhero-y character for the most part. So I think that was a good call, but yeah, I thought Deborah Ann Woll did a really nice job of giving us Karen's mental state without explicitly saying, "Yeah, I'm sad because one of my friends died and my life is horrible."
Her life is horrible.
It is horrible. Good grief.
I love Karen, though.
Yeah, she's so good.
I felt like her part in the gun control conversation was really weird.
Yeah, I don't know how
it didn't seem like completely in character.
Because it was, I don't know.
I mean, a gun did save her life.
Yeah, because I fully agree with her assertion that she needs to have a gun, having seen her life. And yes, please give
this woman a gun.
Yes, if anyone needs a gun, she does. And I also, I don't know, I need to rewatch it because I thought her comments on the radio show were, made perfect sense also and were good. That was just a difficult episode to read in general. I need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I feel like I think the problem with that is, like, with most gun control conversations, it's not about handguns. Like, handguns, like, obviously get a background check. Like, that's... Yeah. But it's really about...
Yeah, it's about automatic this dude going around with, machine guns.
Yeah, exactly. It's about automatic weapons, not people with a handgun in their purse. So I think that's what kind of struck me as weird. Like, I mean, like, she gets a background gun, she has a gun. I mean, she probably didn't have a background check because...
Actually, that's a good point.
But we
still don't know her backstory. We still don't know.
I mean, she could have got it somewhere else, but...
we still don't know if her backstory would have caused her issues with a background check, because we still don't know. I was sure we were going to learn her big secret past in the show, and we still didn't.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that's where it gets me weird, like, because, like, I mean, the conversations really aren't about. It's not about handguns. It's not about, like, someone with a concealed carry permit, like, whatever. It's about someone buying an automatic weapon. Yeah. Which the only purpose is to, like...
kill mass amounts of people.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's...
But anyway. Yeah. I think we've made our point on that.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean, it is...
It's an important thing to talk about when you talk about this show. So, yeah. But I think with Karen, I really liked her interactions with Madani. The kind of battle of wills.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, they needed to make that happen, and I'm glad they did, because that was really cool.
The whole time I was like, damn, Karen!
Yeah.
Damn! You go!
Yeah. But so with Karen, I thought overall that, I'm always really happy to see her, and I'm glad she was in this, but I also thought that she felt a little bit kind of shoehorned in, that the show would have been pretty much the same without her, and that she didn't really actually contribute much. Beyond, she did help Frank find Micro, but I don't know, I felt she was in it so infrequently, and maybe it's just difficult comparing this to Daredevil, where she usually gets her own massive plot arcs.
Yeah.
But I felt like the show would have been about the same without her. Which is sad to say, but I think, she could have been better used.
Yeah.
I did like seeing, kind of building on that kind of fascinating connection with Frank that they started in Daredevil Season 2. It's a weird, the idea of Karen Page being friends with the Punisher is wild, and I love it.
It's great. It's great. Yeah. I love those, combinations of characters you would be
that you'd never expect.
Why? Why would these two characters ever be in the same room together? But why would they be friends?
Yeah, but they make it make sense in this universe, and I really liked kind of those moments of connection between them. But overall, I wasn't sure. I thought a lot of the typical Karen stuff was taken over by Madani. And
she's a great character in her own way.
Yeah, and it's definitely possible to have both of them. I just think Karen could have been better utilized.
Yeah.
But it's, it was always nice to see her. I do think they need to get a move on with Karen's backstory, because they've been holding out. First of all, I was shocked that, this goes into isolating the Punisher and making sure that people who hadn't watched the other shows would be okay watching it, though it did rely a lot on Daredevil.
Yeah, I know. That was something weird to me, because, I feel like if I had not seen Daredevil Season 2, I'd be like, whoops, going on here?
Yeah, but I was surprised that Karen never brought up to Frank her main psychological, the thing she's struggling with at this point, which is murdering Wesley. I figured, I would just assumed that she would end up telling him, because she needs to tell somebody, because she's suffering from it.
And might as well.
And Frank would be the only logical person.
And Frank would be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would validate her.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that they've been holding off on Karen's mysterious backstory for so long that whether or not they intend to, they're building up really high expectations for it. Wow, it's got to be something huge, and
it's going
to be tough to deliver on that. Yeah, so they better hit that in Daredevil Season 3. Just tell us. Just tell us.
Yeah.
And let us move forward. Yeah. But again, they may have just wanted to not have that stuff happen in The Punisher.
I kind of want to talk about Frank's interactions with Micro's family.
Yes.
Which are really fun and interesting looks at him. Obviously there's a level of him putting on a facade for them.
And also manipulating Micro.
Well, yeah.
In the beginning, anyway.
Yes. But there's also a level of genuine Frank that's being portrayed there.
Yeah, and actually, you talked about this when we were working on, just before the show, we were discussing, you saying how necessary it is to have Frank interacting with little kids.
Yes. They're not little. Those aren't little kids.
No,
I was kind of bummed out.
You were expecting
tiny children, tiny little gremlins.
Yeah, but this is essentially, it is doing that.
It's serving that purpose, yeah.
Of humanizing him.
Making him, more than the guy who shoots people.
Yeah, showing that showing him as a father, which is a big part of the character and important to remind people to contrast with all the violence and the murder and the. Yeah.
It felt like when he was with the family, he fell back into old patterns.
Yeah.
I don't think he even,
was aware of it.
Aware of it, but he just, like, kind of, like, was like, hey, buddy, hey, sweetheart, and just, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was just, like, automatically going on, like, pure instinct.
Yeah.
And I found the conversation with Micro's son really interesting.
Yeah. I thought... Oh, sorry, you continue.
No, go for it.
I was going to say that what was really nice for me about his interactions with the Liebermans was the fact that we're getting to see kind of two sides of that same story, where Frank's grief is being paired with Sarah and the kids' grief about having lost, you know, their husband, father. And so Frank is kind of getting to see the opposite side of the story and sharing that experience, kind of.
Remember the Punisher alternate universe where it's his entire family?
Yes.
Becomes the Punishers?
Yes. I forgot about that.
The Punisher dog?
Family.
Was there a dog?
I think so.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I really liked seeing Frank interact with these people who are also grieving for similar reasons in different ways. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought the conversation with the son was interesting.
The one where he
with the knife
threatens him.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder, like, I'm like, okay, how much can... But Frank is all about control, so I have to assume that he...
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
he wanted to scare him.
He just wanted to scare him and realize how impactful violence really was, and, like, put the reality of it into the kid's mind, but it was poor Micro.
Yeah. I think we can say poor Micro for the entire situation.
Micro. Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, I mean, that's one way to do it. It was a good, interesting moment, and as someone who works with kids with mental health needs,
is that how you do it?
Yeah, that's how I do it. That's how I do it. I take a knife. No,
Listen.
I do not. That's a joke. I don't do that. Don't ever do that. That is bad, and DCF will be called on you, as they very well should. That is okay, I'm going to say this again. That is a bad way. That's bad.
Is it bad?
That's bad.
Thank you for clarifying. I wasn't sure.
I was
thinking
that is a bad
the
thing
Punisher
to do.
model of child rearing as a good one.
Yeah, don't be that person, because you will get your children taken away from you.
Don't be Frank. I think that's the overall Punisher lesson. Actually, don't be Frank.
Yeah,
that's the theme.
Unless you're Frank.
Unless you are Frank, then
be Frank.
Do be Frank. I suppose. I mean, I feel like Frank doesn't want to be Frank either, but who else is he going to be?
I feel like that's a moral of the story.
That's the lesson. There we go. We've distilled it all right down. That's it. We're done.
We're done. But yeah, no, it's interesting.
Yeah.
That kid sure learned his lesson.
Yeah. And I loved Leo. She was so cool.
She was good.
I loved Leo. Oh, man.
She was a cool kid.
Yeah, she was awesome. I always appreciate tiny gender stereotype reversals, and I loved her being the handy one.
Yeah.
Fixing the sink. She was just cool overall.
Yeah.
I really liked. She was a hero.
Yeah.
The MVP.
And again, this is coming back to what I do for a living, but I do also like the kind of addressing mental health with kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because that is really a topic that's way not understood. Mm-hmm. And most people kind of turn a blank eye to it and be like, oh, childhood's awesome. And it's not always. And children suffer just like adults. Like, it's, but yeah, I mean, I found it to be pretty, realistic and.
Oh, good. Yeah. I found it effective, but again, I know nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if I were to look at that situation, I would be surprised it wasn't worse.
Yes.
But, I mean, I guess the son was suicidal. and had homicidal ideation. So never mind, I'm gonna backtrack on that. He was depressed and suicidal and had homicidal ideation, which is bad.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, that's
not good. See a therapist if your kid has those issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you have any of the issues portrayed in this show, please see a therapist. Most of them don't bite.
Except for this one.
I know.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about Frank a little bit?
Why would we talk about Frank?
A teeny tiny bit, I guess.
Why would we talk about Frank? What do you think this is?
Well, I never mentioned whether I liked the show. I did like the show.
Do you?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was I thought the pacing I thought the show had kind of the opposite pacing issue that shows with other pacing issues had, where it started slow and then it got really fast for most of the middle and then it ended slow. Or was that just me? I mean, I thought the second to last episode was I don't know.
I think it was weird also because we were watching it at a different time than we normally watch it, so our rhythms were kind of off.
That is true. Yeah. I did think the first episode, I liked... I
thought the first episode was boring.
Yeah. I liked the idea of it, but I don't know. There was something about it. It felt kind of flat.
And I'm just imagining watching this with no context of Daredevil Season 2 and be like, what's going on? And he's like, oh yeah, I finished all of them. And then I finished all the mobs. And then he's like,
yeah, done. I did love that, though, going after the one person left in all the groups. I thought that was funny.
That was pretty good.
I laughed about that.
Yeah. Murder!
One left!
Murder is so funny.
Yeah, wow.
What
a hoot.
But yeah, it was odd, and without context, it would be really strange. Like, you would be able to piece it together, but, like, it'd just be odd.
Yeah. I liked him using Castiglione, which is his actual real last name in the comics.
Francis
Castiglione.
Who's named Francis?
Some people are named Francis. How dare you?
It's a dumb name.
But yeah, so I liked them at least referencing that, even if it wasn't his actual real last name in this universe, which was I was sad about.
Can you imagine if he decided to like go under the fake name Francis Castiglione?
Yeah.
Okay, Frank. Good job. Here's something I found like kind of off about Frank. So he kills the last member of the gangs, and then he's like, "Well, I guess I'm done."
Yeah.
Which is like...
Well, though we can argue whether he was finished or whether he was just looking for a new target. Yeah, just kind of hanging out, seeing what came up. Because if you've taken out every single mob, which is impressive, good job.
Excellent work.
Yeah.
He's going to get a really good performance review.
Yeah, I mean, and knowing Frank, it's possible that he knew the connection to the Gnucci's when he took that job.
Oh, probably. That's what I kind of
get to them.
Inferred.
Yeah. Yeah, so he may have still just been
biding his
researching.
Time. Yeah. Frank's very patient.
Yeah.
It was also really weird at the end of the series where he's like, I'm going to sit in group and share my feelings about this.
Yeah, well, it's so hard to tell with Frank. Like, with that, you don't know if he's actually being genuine, saying, okay, maybe I should talk about this, or if he's just faking, if he's just saying something because Curtis wants him to say something, and he doesn't, But
he doesn't feel like he owes anything to anybody. Yeah. Like,
well,
I mean, maybe to Curtis
is different.
Yeah, Curtis is different. But,
I mean, he could just be talking, saying, hey, this might help these other people, even if it's not actually how I feel.
Yeah.
But we don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also kind of implied that he's like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Which
maybe that's how they're approaching his character in this universe. It just it feels weird. But
it's very weird. And also, why would Curtis allow him into that group? He's such a bad influence.
I mean, I think we kind of saw throughout the show that he lets all sorts of bad influences into that group.
Get his life together.
Yeah, come on, Curtis. A little bit of discretion. Weeding out, yeah.
Yeah. I think Frank needs a higher level of care, would be my professional opinion.
Well, yes.
He's not suited for this level of care. No. He needs to be bumped up.
Talk about my feelings.
He needs to be bumped up to, like, jail. I'm just trying to think of a higher level of care. And that's the one I can think of, which is not.
Yeah.
Which is not.
But
no. Yeah.
You tried that. It didn't work.
Well, you don't bump them down.
Oh man. But yeah, I think I'm still. I need to watch it a few more times to get at Frank's arc. Mm-hmm. Really, because he's so hard to read.
Which is just part of the nature.
Yeah,
of the
which he should be. But they did the same thing with Frank that they did with Danny, where they split his origin essentially. Well, I mean, no, they're doing the same thing with Matt. It's not even really his. Yeah, this is the second half of his origin story. Where we got, because he's still not fully the Punisher we know yet, because he's still going through all the stuff directly related to his family's death. So it's all personal, and he's not objective, which is the Punisher in his fully formed form. You know,
but that would also be a very boring show.
It would be a very boring show. I mean, well, I think it could be done well, but yeah, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's. Yeah, I don't think that's a negative, or it's just I'm just saying that's where he is, and that's his mindset as we see him going into the show. And
I think it's different for a media form like comics, which you can have like more short stories, if that makes sense to you. Like,
yeah, you can't just have 13 episodes of Frank going around killing people in interesting ways.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. But that wouldn't be the wise point, I think, particularly for the first season of his solo show. Yeah. You really need to dig into...
And you have to be invested in Frank, too, which is the thing.
Exactly.
And it's kind of hard to get people invested in Frank, because he's such a bad boy.
Yeah.
And he needs to go in the naughty corner. Yeah, I mean, just because of that, it's hard to get people. I think it would be hard to get people invested in his character.
Yeah. Yeah, you need the personal connection.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the Schoonover Kandahar stuff being introduced in Daredevil Season 2 and then continued here? Because I know we had a lot of problems with that because it was so much was left vague in Daredevil Season 2 that it was actually hard to follow it.
I feel like if we went back in Daredevil Season 2 right now and watch it,
it would make a lot more sense. But yeah, I'm wondering if they just should have held off on that.
In Daredevil Season 2?
Yeah, and just not had that and just introduced it here.
I think it would have been hard to prevent it from being introduced here. Yeah, like, how would you do that? Like, out of, like...
Well, I mean, you introduce Frank... In Daredevil Season 2, you introduce everything, just not be bringing him, not... I guess, I mean...
Just maybe stop his arc at breaking out of jail.
4. Or after breaking out... Well,
I would think breaking out of jail.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. And just not have him come back.
And just
say that's where we will pick it up.
He's missing.
Later, yeah, exactly.
I think that could have been more
Though I did
effective.
like him... I mean, they could have... I did like him starting out the show, dead. That's a very thing. But they could have done that, he dies getting out of jail. Escaping from jail. Which is not as fun, but...
No. I mean, I guess you could have had a shootout and he, jumps in the water and...
Yeah, or he fakes his death in some way.
This isn't Matt.
Matt doesn't have a monopoly on that.
I could teach my dog to do that.
Look at Micro.
I mean, I could teach my dog to do that too, but that doesn't mean, that's a valid solution to problems.
But, they could have... I think they could have saved all of this stuff and prevented some confusion in Daredevil season 2.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard because it's like there's so much in Daredevil season 2 that directly leads into the show, so you have to watch Daredevil season 2.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to hear someone who hasn't seen that and just their opinion. We're gonna do Helen. We're gonna ask Helen.
Yes.
Helen!
Yes. Yeah, I'd be really curious.
Helen's our mutual friend.
Yes.
She's a dweeb.
She's our lab rat.
Yes.
In this situation.
We're gonna plug her in. We're gonna put like some...
Force her to watch, hold her eyes open.
Yeah, like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
I have not seen that movie. I don't really
haven't either, but
want to. But I understand the reference.
Yeah.
We'll
hold her eyes open. Watch The Punisher.
I don't think she kind of has the hots for John Bernthal.
So well, there you go. We don't even need to hold her eyes open. I'm just saying we're forcing you to watch this as quickly as possible. You can't get up. You can't leave. Does she do that? Well, I guess she can. Yeah,
she does that with video
She watches a lot of TV. Yeah.
Right.
But I really liked. I thought they did a great job getting us invested in Frank. I was invested already because I thought they did a good job in Daredevil season 2 also, but making it an emotional story for him, I thought was smart, even if it. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Have to. I just can't see how you can.
Yeah, and they did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about some villains?
Yeah, let's talk about Micro first.
Yeah, let's talk about Micro.
They did a great job. I love Necro. He was so good. I think their interactions were fantastic. Their friendship, first of all, adding some well-needed levity to the show. And, kind of giving Frank a friend and a partner was really cool. And, the fact that they're kind of this odd couple who are, who kind of bond over this shared need to do this thing and end up becoming friends and, being continually pissed off at each other. But,
that's how you know it's a real friendship.
Exactly, and particularly a Punisher friendship.
Yeah. I saw way too much of Micro's butt.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see that much
I looked away in time. But, the whole... Yeah, I did... I mean,
it was side butt.
Yeah, they did... They did a good job of avoiding... Yeah.
It was just side butt.
Uncomfortable stuff, but yeah. Too much naked Micro. No thanks.
No thanks.
But I
understand why I like butt.
Yeah, I loved their battle of wills between them as they don't trust each other and keep playing each other. That was my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, that was
really
with
well
the
done.
Alarm and
that was so good.
Yeah.
Oh man, and just all of their conversations within that, and because Frank doesn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have him have a partner,
that's how really you need establish
to do it. You need to justify him being friends with this person, and you need something extreme for that with Frank.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a great job of building that friendship in a way that felt right for Frank. And also for Micro.
Yeah.
Because he's a paranoid guy also.
I really enjoyed the conversation they had when they were both drunk.
That was great, yeah. That was
pretty good.
I'm glad they had that in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, just kind of a friendship moment
in
the middle of a
tense show.
Yeah, a show without much friendship. Where Frank loses. I mean, I liked the fact that we had all of Frank's friends brought back in from, Gunner and Curtis and Billy Russo.
Which
getting really personal with him, and what do those friendships mean now that he's no longer at war with these people?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool. That was a good choice of characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think more about Micro. No, I just really enjoyed.
Yeah, he was really well done.
And the idea, I really appreciated him just being alone in this basement, and just the only thing he has to do is watch his family on the cameras. And I just kind of wonder how he got those cameras into their house.
Oh, he broke in when they were out one day and installed those.
Yeah. But
yeah, I mean I liked that, and the idea of him as being this non-combat character who is dragged into this combat but is still ultra competent.
Yeah.
It's a nice they managed that balance really well.
Yeah.
And just his banter with Frank, it's just again really good. You need
really
that.
Yeah.
That was necessary.
It's like what I was gonna say is it's like the reason they invented Robin for Batman.
Yeah.
Because you can't have one guy just brooding and talking to himself the whole time. Like you just can't.
Yeah.
And the Punisher show without someone that he can.
Without a foil.
A foil that he can talk to, which is why the neighbors were there in the first Punisher movie.
Yeah.
And why,
essentially why Karen kind of served that role in Daredevil season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like Matt a little bit, but mostly Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't just have him, brooding by himself.
Yeah.
He has to have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Because that would be a very boring and uninformative show. We would have no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, Micro was phenomenal. I was sure he was going to die because he ends up. Frank kills him in the comics eventually.
Yeah, he becomes a bad guy.
Yeah, and I was sure he wasn't going to make it, but he did. And I'm happy because
he only had to fake his
a good recurring character. Yeah, and I also liked that how as the show went on, I mean, he's been away from his family for a year, so you'd think he'd be kind of coping. But since this show digs so much into his family, that with Frank interacting with them and them being put back in danger, the fact that he starts unraveling and he starts losing. Mm-hmm. The ability to stay away from them. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really good, kind of giving him that
Frank
arc.
Opens that door for him again.
Yeah, and he starts struggling with something that he's essentially been coping with reasonably well up until that point. I mean, as well as you could. Yeah.
I think it's also interesting how Frank at the beginning uses it to manipulate him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is it's funny, but also it's
and I think it's good. Like we have the viewers have a bit of perspective if they do know the Punisher that he's not gonna hurt them. Why would he has no reason to hurt them?
Yeah, but Micro doesn't fully understand that, so he freaks out.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense.
Yeah, Frank knows that.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah, I really like that.
Do you want to talk about Madani?
Yes. I liked her a lot. She was really cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad she survived.
Can I talk about her mother?
Yes.
Her mother really shouldn't give her psychiatric advice because that's not cool.
Why not?
Because it's crossing boundaries.
Well,
and she should have a neutral perspective.
If you see that your daughter is struggling, you're going to try to help her and give her some perspective.
Yeah, but
I mean, I feel that's not weird. Come on, she's
not weird, and we do it all the time. But it's just not a smart move.
I guess, but if your daughter is suffering because people she cares about are dying and she's not
I'm
coping.
Just a nerd. I'm just a humble nerd, okay? Listen.
I really liked her interactions with... I thought it was weird that we didn't see her father until the very end.
Yeah,
I did like that her mother was a recurring character, and we saw kind of both sides of her life, as her professional life, and then contrasted with her interactions with her mother, where she's annoyed by her mother, but her mother gives us a good perspective on how to read her actions, particularly at the beginning when she's very grieving, but isn't going to say, "Ah, yes, I am sad because I feel,"
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And
I think the conversation in the beginning about belief systems.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That was interesting, and I think that kind of informs Frank as well. Although we don't kind of explicitly go into his belief system, which is kind of
I like Micro kind of joking about it. What do you call that? Is it morality? What
morality? Maybe.
But I liked. And I did like there were a lot of parallels between Dina and Frank. Mm-hmm. There's these kind of loner characters.
Yeah.
Who are accused of being arrogant or controlling.
Mm-hmm.
who end up needing...
who also
attached.
has lost
Yeah.
somebody, and...
Yeah. And I also liked, I thought this was important with a show dealing with events in the Middle East, having a Middle Eastern protagonist.
Yeah, specifically a Muslim protagonist.
Yeah. Or what?
Well, she's Muslim because her father doesn't drink.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think what her nationality is. I don't think she's
well, she speaks Farsi, so I think she is from... Yeah, she's from her parents are from Afghanistan, and they moved. She was born in America.
Yeah. I liked that.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's important, especially because we see a lot of things going on in the Middle East, and obviously people are terrible nowadays, and you have to be, sensitive about what you're talking about and not being a jerk, and I think that it kind of, not completely even the playing field, but kind of gave us a perspective.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I really liked the fact that, again, kind of a parallel with Frank, that it gets really personal for her, that she's this person trying to do this job in which she's supposed to be objective, and which everyone keeps saying, don't get attached. You can be good at this if you don't screw this up, and kind of balancing her career ambitions, which she clearly has, which we see, which I like, particularly as a woman in a male-dominated profession. And her balancing... Actually, the same thing we've seen with a lot of kind of law enforcement characters. We see it with Misty also. And we see it, obviously with Matt as a lawyer, but that's slightly different. But definitely,
are you talking about via ableism?
No, I was talking about balancing staying within the system.
Oh, okay.
Remaining objective.
Sorry, I was are we talking about...
No.
Gender... Okay, but yes.
No, I was talking about balancing being yeah.
I'm laughing because of Matt and staying objective.
No. He's on a different level, but I liked seeing her kind of deal with these personal tragedies and her own personal investment. And, we get into that also with Billy Russo, where she starts dating Billy Russo, which causes her all kinds of trouble.
Don't date him.
And doing this by the book and making sure that it works within the system, even as she sees the flaws and kind of the corruption. Again, a theme in every single... I feel like every single one of these shows is systemic corruption.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to follow her arc, and I liked her as what a kind of a structural character all the way through for the show, tying together all of the various plot lines going on. With Homeland Security kind of being right in the middle of everything.
I really liked her being rescued by Frank, because again, it gives us kind of a glimpse into his moral code.
And their fight beforehand was a really good scene for her. Yeah, that was really good.
Because, it's important, again, to kind of establish that Frank has, he's not, out to...
he's compassionate to people who aren't horrible people. And, even at huge risk to himself. I mean, I feel like he's even kind of awkward about it afterward, because Micro's berating him that this Homeland Security person saw his face, and he's kind of like,
but she was probably not with it,
But he knows that it was a stupid thing to do, but he still does it,
because he's not going to leave her there to die.
Yeah, I think that's a good moment.
Because for all of his tactical mindedness, he's not someone who leaves innocent people who are just trying to do their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's also the element of the fact that Micro initially, the whole thing that started everything is that Micro sent the video to Dina, and it ended up in the wrong hands via her, and that got Frank's family killed, Micro, quote-unquote, killed. it started everything.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that. The idea that she's not completely blameless. And obviously, she had no idea.
Yeah, no.
But it complicates her story. And, Micro even says at the end, I sent you this thing before. I guess I'll send it to you again, but, you saw what happened last time.
Can you forward me that email again?
And it kind of paralleled with the revelation, and we knew earlier on, but for Dina, that Frank was the one to kill her partner in Afghanistan, that he pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Just complicating the moral framework of the show.
I think they could have held off on that knowledge until later in the show. That would have been a really good...
Well, she doesn't learn until the second to last episode.
Well, but we know.
Oh, well, but we know. Us know. Yeah, that's true. They definitely could have.
I think that would have been more like,
have that be
crap.
A surprise for us.
Yeah. I think that would have made it a bit better.
Yeah.
And kind of shaken the viewers up.
Yeah.
Regarding Frank and being like, oh.
Yeah.
Well.
And I really liked just really good emotional beats. I liked the handling of just that whole scene. The scene surrounding Sam Stein's death. I thought that was his death was really well executed.
Yeah.
The scene immediately afterward where she's sitting in the bathtub and Billy is there.
No!
It's so freaking creepy. It was so good.
It was very good.
That was so good.
Mm-hmm.
From just a
writing,
storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God, it's so creepy.
He's a creepy dude.
Yeah. I like that. And I really...
What was that voice? You just were like, I like that.
I did. I like disturbing stuff done well.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is why I appreciate Jessica Jones.
You don't have to say that in that voice.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. And I also
I like that.
Also, what really also when she's discussing Sam's death with her mother, I liked her description that really stood out to me of his expression. I thought the show had really good moments like that, that just little details that pull you in and make you think about things extra hard and that really stick with you. I thought the show had a bunch of those, and I thought that one in particular was really good. A good way. I'm just looking at this as a writer, shorthand for maximum emotional pain, and
it's all in the details.
How she's processing it.
Do you want to talk about villains?
Yeah, let's talk about some villains.
Let's talk about some naughty boys.
Yes. I like just little villains. As we talked about, the first episode was kind of slow, but I did like the idea. I thought it was a very good... I liked the idea of, oh my god, what was his name? I'm
Donnie?
Donnie being pulled into this innocent person being pulled into this
what a
disastrous situation.
Goldfish.
It felt very Punisher.
Yeah.
And I did really like the scene during the heist where they build the tension. He's trying to get all the money off the table and it takes forever. I thought that was the strongest scene in the episode.
Yeah, and because he's such an...
And then he just drops his idea. Yeah, it's just this complete disaster. I thought that was really good.
I mean, this kid doesn't know... I mean, he does know what he's doing, but...
But he doesn't also, really.
Yeah, he's not someone who's...
Yeah.
Built for this. He's not someone who has experience doing this. Yeah. He's someone who's...
Yeah, so you just spent the whole time going, oh no, because you can see what's going to happen. I thought that was really good. So a little minor.
Yeah.
I thought
another minor character, Turk.
Yes, I was ready to.
Yeah.
I'm really glad he survived. I mean, Turk survives everything, so I kind of knew. But also, this is the Punisher.
Yeah, I was going to wonder if they were going to invert that narrative and just kind of turn that narrative on its head for maximum impact.
Yeah. That was one of the tensest moments in the show.
No,
don't do it!
Turk's on the pink gun.
Yeah, that was great.
Hey, Frank kept it.
Oh yeah, heck,
I hope he
doesn't care. It's a gun.
I mean, he seems to care. Actually.
He does seem to care. I feel like he was more kind of berating Micro for the sake of berating Micro, and not so much because he didn't like what the gun looked like. He was like, this one lame gun versus everything that you said I was gonna get.
I mean, and I don't think he'd use a pink gun. I think that's against... I think he has an aesthetic to maintain, and I don't think he's gonna...
Yeah, that's true, I suppose. Yeah, that's true. He might spray paint it black. Put a little skull on it.
Aww. That's adorable. But yeah.
Yeah. Turk. Turk's always good.
Yeah, Turk's good.
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't kill him. Turk has some, like, magic.
The Turk magic.
The perception filter that's around Turk.
Do not kill this guy. Oh, the joke he made, the surprisingly academic joke on the Greeks didn't trust him.
Whoa, that was like, whoa. Wow, Turk.
All right.
That's pretty good job.
Yeah, that's genuinely funny.
We could talk about Agent Orange.
We can talk about Agent Orange.
What's his real name? Rollins?
Rollins. I haven't yet put together my thoughts on Rollins. I thought he was a good villain. I thought he was... I liked the casting because he looks... He doesn't look like... he looks like a kind of a guy who'd sit in an office somewhere and... Yeah. Which he is.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. He is. He's
an office boy.
Yeah, he looks like some guy who would have other people do the stuff for him, but he's also genuinely really physically dangerous. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I liked that casting.
Yeah, he didn't leave too much of an impact on me.
No, he wasn't hugely compelling. And I think that was to avoid him taking attention away from Billy Russo, who was the main big bad.
Yeah. He was all right. I mean, he wasn't like the best villain I've ever seen.
He was designed to be non-complex and hateable and then die.
Yeah.
Which he did very well.
I enjoyed him like completely breaking hell down while he's beating Frank.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
That was good. Yeah.
I thought that was really good.
The torture scene was really good.
Yeah.
As much as I didn't watch most of it because it was really gory, it was really good. It was well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wasn't particularly interesting. I thought Lewis was. I mean, all stuff we've talked about aside, you were genuinely nervous every time he was on screen. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was well done in regards to him, and I thought Billy Russo was a very good.
I think they did very well with him. Again, I don't know Punisher very well. So like, I mean,
Billy Russo, aka Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm coming into this like kind of blind. Mm-hmm. I kind of had, so this shows a level of ignorance. I kind of had suspicions that he'd be Jigsaw, but I don't even know that much about. I know that his face is messed up.
I think, Frank put his face through a plate glass window in the comics. And I love, in Daredevil, he complains about it to Matt. And Matt's just like, okay, I don't care. Do you need legal help? Get out of my office.
What do you expect me to do?
Yeah. I love when he calls security. I don't think it's Luke at that point, but whoever is doing security for him, he calls him in and says, get him out of here. Be careful with his face. Because he spends the whole time talking about how his face looks bad. And Matt's just like, okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't know.
That's probably why he goes to Matt.
Yeah, probably. So I can feel good about myself.
Tell me I'm beautiful, Matt. Tell me I'm beautiful. And Matt's probably like, well, you're ugly on the inside. Yeah. So,
that's all that really matters. So that's my main
knowledge of Jigsaw.
But
I like the background that they gave him, growing up in group homes.
And I like we don't find out till later.
Yeah.
to add that little extra
complexity. And I don't know if they're talking about, like, foster homes, because it's not foster care.
Like a combination of things that, you know, or because he was.
Well, orphanages aren't, I guess, super a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt was in one, so I guess they are a thing in there. I mean, they are, like, for kids who don't have.
Yeah, but not as much as.
But not as much as anymore. Like, really, is the foster care system. But I'm wondering if that's from, like, because when you talk about group homes, it's generally for mental illness. So I'm just wondering, like, I mean, obviously he has issues, but like, what that was for, and I like the, I found the,
Well, I mean, would you, if you had a kid, or, you know, a baby who had nowhere else to go, nowhere else to be put.
Well,
I don't know. I mean,
if you had a baby that had nowhere else to put, they'd be put in foster care. Because I have coworkers who foster babies. Yeah. I mean, and they're like, I mean, generally what will happen is you'll go first. They'll try and find a family placement for you to go to.
Okay.
And then if there's no family placement that's suitable or willing to take you in, then they'll go to an outside family who has opened their home up for foster kids.
Oh, okay.
And then...
Well, because I'm trying to remember. Yeah. He makes it sound like his mother gave him up right away, but...
Or was taken away. Or he was taken away from her. Well, no,
he says that she signed him away. That she didn't want him, and she...
Yeah, because she was a meth addict.
Yeah.
And she left him at, like, a baby safe haven.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would assume that he would be, if he was a baby, he would be in some sort of foster care. But group homes are basically homes for people with persistent mental illness.
Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if it wasn't when he was a baby, if he was a little bit older.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that...
Because he remembers his mother enough to be horribly resentful.
Well, he might have found her. I think he found her later on.
Oh, that's... Alright, so there's some lack of clarity there.
Yeah,
but
so I think what probably happened if he was adopted as a baby, he ended up presenting with probably horrible PTSD or some sort of, like, residual, like, brain damage from his mom being a meth addict.
Mm-hmm.
And probably using while she was pregnant, and then because of that, and because of all the trauma and stuff like that, he probably was not able to be cared for in the foster system, and they probably put him in a group home for persistent mental illness. But, I mean, I don't know. This is a show, and...
Who knows? He had a bad childhood. We know that.
Yeah, and I found it very interesting when he's talking about his sexual abuse.
Yeah.
From the volunteer, and just how that informs his self-image, because that's a very trauma-related thing. Like, you know what? If you say that I'm pretty, I'm going to be the best damn, like, the prettiest damn boy you've ever seen. Like, you know, well, like, F you, I'm going to, you know, I'll show you how pretty I can be.
Yeah.
It's sort of a trauma reaction. But yeah, I mean... He's messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked, I mean, it's always really cool when you have a villain who is messed up, but isn't obviously messed up. When he's introduced as Frank's buddy, I love that scene, that we actually got before the show. They released it, where they were discussing the poem in the barracks. And it's a very, you know, it's a fun scene between two buddies. And he just seems so in control and poised. And it's not until you get partway through the show where you start seeing how nasty he really is. But he keeps the poise, which is always best because he keeps not dying. He keeps staying on top of the situation, no matter what anyone does. He avoids the consequences forever, which makes him extra hateable. So I thought that was really... Having a villain who's so completely in control like that is always really
fun.
Effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said fun, you said effective. I think it's fun if I'm a party.
Yeah, effective and fun, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, just his, obsession with control and controlling his image and...
Mm-hmm. Which ties into another theme in the show, which is self-image and the kind of repeated, look at yourself and who do you see in the mirror, and that keeps coming up with a whole bunch of different characters.
That Sesame Street video with the monster in the mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the show.
You know the scary Grover that traumatized me as a child? Yeah. That's me.
That's what you see in the mirror?
The scary Grover.
The scary Grover, yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, he's...
Yeah, I know that.
Scared the poop out of me. That's what I see, though.
Yeah. But so that's a big theme with him, and obviously at the end he literally gets his face sliced up with a mirror. It's a little bit on the nose, but it's nice. In the carousel.
I don't remember the lyrics. I just remember the tune, and it's the monster in the mirror.
Yeah, we should put that at the end of this review, because that's the show.
We're gonna do it.
The monster in the mirror is me. It's the show.
This is a good review.
We're doing great here. But yeah, and I mentioned this before, but I really like the fact that this show is centered around Frank's friends. Mm-hmm. So that it is personal, and I liked that we didn't get until the end, and I liked that we also had it, the scene with Billy in the park with Frank and his family, because we hear early on, Frank mentions that I loved you, my wife loved you, my kids loved you. So we get that a little bit, but we don't actually get a sense of the fact that Billy was close with Frank's entire family.
And he knew what was happening.
Yeah, which just makes it all the more vile. And he says that he requested to not be the one to kill them, which is also a nice character moment, showing, because we do get a sense of his honor. In the scene in the last episode with Curtis, he says, my word still means something. So there is that element to his character.
Mm-hmm. At least now.
And he said, he makes that promise to Frank, which he ends up not keeping, to kill him quickly, which he ends up not keeping. Good, which is good,
Yeah.
But there is that element to his character. Yeah. Waiting until the very end to see just how morally awful he is. Yeah. I really liked that scene. Also, him making fun of Frank naming his son Frank Jr.
Which we do all the
time. And Lisa getting that little... I love
that burn.
Yeah. If you're an orphan, how do you know you're named after Billy the Kid? And Frank just fist bumps. Like, yeah.
That's a good one.
That was great. I like Lisa.
And he's genuinely upset about it. Yeah. He just tries to hide it, but he's really offended.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Oh, we should mention the little theme of all the sons are jerks.
I think I said all the sons are assholes.
Yeah, and all the daughters are super awesome.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing.
We've been talking about how Frank doesn't seem to Well, in Daredevil Season 2, the reason why they only really go into detail about the daughter is because it's not the big things. If you overload the consumer with a lot of big details...
The consumer.
The viewer.
The consumer.
The consumer. I was thinking about writing or whatever. Shut up.
Sorry, continue.
No, you're not sorry.
No, I know, but continue anyway.
But yeah, no, if you overload someone with a lot of details and too much information, it gets kind of shut out. But if you give a few small, really good details, yeah, it kind of sticks a little more. So that's probably why he talks about Lisa and not at all.
He never mentions Maria or Frank Jr. I love my daughter and those other two people. That was sad also. but it makes sense from a writing... if you think about it, it's weird, but from a writing perspective, it makes his discussion of the accident, of the murder more poignant. to focus on the really singular, small details. But
yeah. But then we see Frank Jr. on the boat.
And he is kind of a jerk.
Well, no, he is way a jerk. He says something extremely kind of racist. And I'm like, wow, racist, Frank Jr. Yeah. That's not chill at all. And, yeah.
Yeah.
And Frank does not approve.
No. But going back to Billy Russo, I think, do we get his motivations for teaming up with Rollins? I feel like it's not explored as much as it could have been. Yeah, that he has, I think, again, stemming from his childhood trauma, he wants to be successful and powerful and rich and handsome and and Rollins offers that to him and he says yes.
He offers being handsome.
Well, he already had. He needs the money to buy his expensive hair mousse and stuff.
Okay, well, I mean you need a lot of money to get that type of expensive.
Yeah, and to buy his nice suits and stuff, which he says he enjoys wearing.
Okay. Then I guess you have.
I've proven that. Yeah.
You have.
I can argue my points. Don't doubt me.
I doubted you a little bit,
I know
but then
you
proved me wrong.
But yeah, so which I think makes it good that they don't introduce his childhood until later, because his motivations are kept a mystery up until that point, which I think is effective for his character.
Yeah, but it also kind of seems a little confusing.
Well, yeah, it makes it less clear, but I think it didn't bother me too much. I just have to think a minute, okay, wait a minute, why did he actually do that? Because there's just so much going on. It's such a complicated story. I feel like I need to, I lost a lot on my initial watch through, and I need to rewatch.
Yeah.
I mean, which is good, because it sucks you in, because there's just so much going on, and you kind of get lost in it, which is the goal for these shows, particularly since they're so long. You need to stay invested in guessing. But I think I thought their final fight... These shows have had some issues with final fights.
I thought their final fight was pretty good.
I thought Dina was a little bit underused in that fight.
Well, because she got shot right away.
And obviously she couldn't swoop in and save the day, because this is Frank and Billy's big final fight. But...
I don't know how else you would have used her.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it was fine.
Yeah.
It was passable. Maybe a B- on Dina.
Yeah, in that fight.
Yeah.
Not overall.
No, not overall.
But in that fight. But, I mean, having them fight in the carousel, and having Billy get stabbed with a mirror... was a little bit heavy-handed, but
I don't know. I liked it.
It worked, yeah. And it would make sense for Billy.
Frank, then Frank will wubba you.
And it makes sense for Billy to want to bring Frank back to that point for maximum trauma.
Yeah.
To bring him to that location.
To rub his face on it.
Yeah.
And it ends up being Frank who does the face rubbing in.
Indeed.
That was gross.
Yeah, that was... but necessary. I think, and there's we were discussing whether it was in character for Frank to not kill Billy, which I think I mean, that's always going to be a thing with Frank, that, it always feels weird when he doesn't kill a bad guy, because that's his whole thing. But it's nice to have some recurring Punisher villains.
Usually
at least one. There aren't many.
They're kind of one-offs, and then they are done.
Yeah, and I thought they handled it pretty well, with Billy begging for Frank to kill him, and Frank saying, no, you're going to suffer the way I mean, I feel like taking away his pretty face is different than having your family murdered, but it's all he's got. He's like,
yeah,
okay,
I mean, he doesn't have a family. That's
exactly,
what he has.
Yeah, and he does have a lot of emotional investment and tied in his tied into his physical appearance,
and that also ties into
because of his trauma and stuff.
Well, yeah, but it also ties into like I kind of read it as a sex addiction. You know, that kind of helps him get the affection that he, wants so badly.
Yeah.
And kind of, gives him that ability to have physical relationships with people without them, being... Which is wrong, and, you don't judge people by their appearance, but, like, still
but you do.
Would.
Yeah. And Frank takes that away from him.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's, you're going to have Jigsaw in the show, you got to have Jigsaw in the show.
Yeah.
And he's so that origin had to happen.
His face is jigged and sawed.
Indeed it is. So I think...
Did we talk a bit about the end of the show?
We did talk a little bit about the end. I thought, just tonally, not necessarily talking about the content, but the tone, I thought... I don't know, I'm torn on it. I like how surprising it was, because that's not where you expect the show to end. Mm-hmm. It kind of ends not mid-thought, but it doesn't feel like a natural ending. And it's a very quiet ending, which you would not expect from a Punisher show. And I kind of like the fact that it ends on kind of a thoughtful, reflective... reflective scene, but I'm torn on it. I need to think about it some more. How I feel about that ending.
I don't feel like I'm.
It's kind of a weak ending.
I think it's kind of a weak ending. I feel like it just puts like a big question mark. Like, will Frank do it more? Will he not? Like,
which is maybe the intention setting up for season 2. But
anyone who has any knowledge of the Punisher is going to be like, no, of course he's going to do it. Like, what are you talking about? So it's not even like, like Matt Murdock, you could say, okay, is he going to continue being Daredevil or is he not? But he is. But he has moments where he's like, I'm going to not do this anymore, and then he tries to not do it, and then he fails miserably. So, like, stuff like that, I think with Matt can be done a little more.
Yeah.
But
whereas with the Punisher...
he's very black and white. No pun intended. Kind of. I don't know, that was not really a pun, but no wordplay intended. Mm-hmm. Because his costume is black and white. Yeah. And did you get that?
I did get that.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure.
You noticed the color palette for the show is... black and white and blue.
All over?
Yeah, which makes... Yeah. So that just a little kind of continuing the theme of all these shows having distinctive color palettes, which is really cool.
What's black and white and blue all over?
Frank?
Actually, I'm just gonna say that it's Jigsaw after Frank punches him.
He's red all over, though. He's kind of multicolored all over.
He has blue because the bruises.
I know, but
and he's white, so there's the joke.
Where's the black?
Black and blue. Hair? You have black and blue.
Black and blue. Okay. Okay, I see.
Laugh at my joke.
I ruined your...
Laugh at it. It's so funny.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the music? I thought music.
Yeah, I thought the music was good.
Well, I loved the music. I loved Frank breaking into the Homeland Security guy's house early in the show, and ain't that a kick in the head? That was great.
Ain't it though?
Ain't it? Yeah, I know. Right, that's life. But yeah, I thought I liked the way music. I mean, it was a different. It was. I don't know, because it wasn't like the music was highlighted, but there was a
lot more music.
It wasn't integrated into the background soundtrack, but it was still. I don't know. It worked. It fit. It was.
I think the other shows really haven't used like.
Well, Luke Cage.
Oh, yeah. No,
but that is specifically highlighting, okay, this music is happening in this scene. Whereas with the Punisher, it is, I mean, sometimes, like when he turns on the radio and Leo, wants to listen to the song, but it's, and some, with that...
there was a lot of Tom Waits.
Yeah, but there was a lot of music that was clearly just background music, not actually happening in the scene. But it wasn't just the soundtrack, so it was noticeable, but it wasn't intrusive.
Yeah.
Like the Defenders had some intrusive music like that, which didn't work. But I loved the music in The Punisher.
How about the Where Did You Sleep Last Night from the Defenders?
Oh, it wasn't all bad, but it worked really well. Yeah, but there was that one bit of intrusive music.
Oh, that was
the fight. Yeah, the fight at the end. Yeah,
that was not good.
But yeah, I really liked also the music choices in The Punisher were good.
That was good.
And I liked the soundtrack. I liked all the intro themes have been good. But I liked this one.
Yeah, it felt very
kind of heavy metal.
Remember Frank's music? No, wait, was that Frank's or was that Ben's music? That was Ben's music.
But the music theme, yeah. And I like that we continue, because we learned that he
likes Springsteen.
Yeah, and I liked him playing the guitar in the show. And then Micro kind of picking it up.
Kind of. As well as I probably could play the guitar.
Yeah, so yeah, that was well used.
Yeah. Do you want to rate the show as a whole?
Let's rate the show as a whole.
From a 1 to Punisher.
A 1 to Punisher. Wow. Is Punisher a good thing or a bad thing?
That's up to you.
1 to it killed you.
1 to it killed you.
Ooh. I would give it. I don't know. I think I would give it a 8.5 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it would be the same. I think for me, it's like...
It's not my favorite, but I will readily admit that The Punisher is not someone I am as emotionally invested in as, say,
8.3 maybe for me. 8.3, maybe 8.0.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's yet another really solid show. They keep hitting them out of the park with these shows.
Yeah.
Great, Jon Bernthal. I feel like we're forgetting to mention
Jon
a million
awesome.
things, but he was great. All the acting I thought was really good. It was a great cast. I'm glad that the people who survived. I would assume we're gonna get a second season.
It is implied.
Every other show has gotten a second season, and presumably in the second season, it's going to be. He's going to be. Well, yeah, obviously Jigsaw's going to be back, but he's going to be more fully the Punisher the whole time. Maybe. I would think.
I would hope.
Yeah. But I would be excited for a second season.
Yeah, me too.
We were kind of hoping, I mean, there were rumors, but you can't trust a rumor, but I was kind of hoping that they were going to introduce Moon Knight in the show, and they didn't. Because it would have been the perfect place to introduce him, because he was in the army.
Yeah.
And he was also a mercenary, so.
There's this great comic where...
Fan comic.
A fan comic, I will clarify, with... Frank going to pick up Mark.
Though this should happen in the actual comic.
No, absolutely. So, yeah, it's Frank going to pick up Mark for to do a job. And Mark's just out there with his bird costume on.
Yeah, he has this one his Khonsu costume.
And Frank just looks out the window of the battle van, rolls the windows up, and keeps on driving. So we want that scene to happen.
Yeah. Oh, I mentioned this, I loved Frank and Micro pulling up in the battle van for Thanksgiving dinner. At the very end.
Yeah.
For Franksgiving dinner.
Franksgiving.
just rolling up in the battle van. They need to
juice that thing up.
Yeah, they need to paint a big skull on the side and put some speakers.
Ooh, speakers like on the outside?
Yeah.
Do they have that in the actual battle van?
No. But I'm saying they should.
I mean, yes, they should.
They need to spruce up the battle van. I mean, the battle van has guns and stuff on it in the comics. They need to improve that thing. Hoping for maximum extreme battle van.
And Mark just in the background, just standing there on some corner, just on his constant costume, just like no explanation whatsoever.
Yeah. Oh, and here's Moon Knight. All right, back to the story.
No one knows who this is.
Here's this guy.
He's dressed as a bird.
Yeah,
he's a bird.
He's nuts.
He is a troubled soul.
Yeah. I would love to get Moon Knight in these shows. He's fun. He's fun.
Moon Knight would be a good addition to season 2.
Super good.
Would you kiss Moon Knight straight on his bird beak?
No.
Why not? It's just the bird beak.
To clarify, that's not his normal outfit.
Kiss the bird beak straight on the lips.
Why? What?
Excuse me? Moon Knight.
Excuse me?
Just take his head between your hands and give his beak a little kisseroo.
What? Anyway, I think we've lost a bit of the thread here.
And I think this is probably...
Oh, there was also something else I was going to say.
No!
How do you... Yeah, I guess, I don't know if this even would impact any of the other shows. Because they've kept it separate, and I don't think they would want it to impact the other shows.
No, I don't think so.
I mean...
Besides maybe Matt being, like, annoyed.
Yes, the fact that they wiped Frank's fingerprints, they wiped him out of the system.
Why would you
Matt's
do
gonna be
that?
so pissed.
Matt's gonna be like,
oh my god!
Here's to do it. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. I love Matt pissed.
Yes.
I love torturing Matt.
You're gonna love season 3.
No, actually, I don't know if I love torturing Matt that much.
Oh
but, yeah.
man. And yeah, it was nice. Ellison was in it, which was nice. So Brett was in it. But yeah, I mean, Brett was barely in it. But I was so about that episode. But I was glad. I was glad Brett was good.
He fit.
Brett was great. Yeah, I like Brett. And I think that's about it. I'm sure we've missed a million things. But feel free to ask us questions. We'll do our best. Like I said, we're not huge experts on The Punisher, but we are more than happy to discuss the show further because there is a lot to talk about here. Mm-hmm. And I guess other news. Jessica Jones is going to be next. And
I don't know if I can handle Punisher
back to back with Jessica Jones. Oh, it's gonna be good. I think Luke Cage is wrapping up or has wrapped up. Yay! So excited!
Oh man!
And Daredevil season 3 is filming at the moment, and Iron Fist is going to start next month. So exciting stuff!
A lot going on.
Exciting stuff. Yes. But yeah, so thank you for listening.
I hope we didn't
laugh at the Punisher too much.
Hope you still have a little bit of respect left for us.
That's too much to ask.
Okay, well,
we hope you enjoyed this commentary. Anyway, all right.
Yep,
that's it.
That's it.
See you later.
Saw a monster in the mirror when I woke up today. A monster in my mirror, but I did not run away. I did not shed a tear or hide beneath my bed. Though the monster looked at me, and this is what he said. He said, wabba, 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 woo, woo, woo. Wabba, 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 and a doodly-doo. He sang wabba, 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 so I sang it too. Wabba me or I will wabba you. Do not wabba me or I will wabba you. Told the monster in the mirror, no, I am not scared. Then I smiled at him and thanked him for the song that we had shared. Well, the monster thanked me too, he smiled right back, and then the monster in the mirror sang his song again. He sang wubba 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 woo woo woo, wubba 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 and a doodly doo. He went wubba 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 and I sang along. Yes, wubba 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 is a monster song.
Wubba 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 is a monster song.
If your mirror has a monster in it, do not shout. This kind of situation does not call for freaking out. And do nothing that you would not like to see him do. Cause that monster in the mirror, he just might be you. Singing wubba 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 woo woo woo, wubba 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 and a doodly doo. Wubba wubba wubba, you can join in too. Yes, if you wubba me, then I will wubba you.
If you wubba me, then I will wubba you.
Going wubba 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 is the thing to do. Every time you wubba us, we'll wubba